Defender saying evidence. So their version of evidence is registry keys and registry values and processes. So go back into CrowdStrike and you can see some of that additional telemetry is registry key or registry operations, network operations. Like this is additional information and context, right? So you just have to know like the information that is relevant is not going to change just because you went into a different platform. The same information is relevant in Defender and the same information is relevant in CrowdStrike. But where you find that information is what changes, right? The different tabs and modules that you have to click and navigate to is ultimately the subject matter expertise you develop from working within each of these tools over time. So that's why I say everyone should be clicking around. You guys have access to these tools 24/7. It's not limited to just these calls. So if you don't know where something is, well, you probably haven't poked around at all. I mean, when we're on these calls, I do go into detail about, like we are right now, where you find information, but it is up to you to drag your mouse across your screen and be able to replicate that, right? So that's all I wanted to point out. You can go back into Defender. But essentially, when we first start out this alert, because I want to cover ground now and I'm going to move a lot faster. When you first log into open up the page, I go through all of the different tabs just to get a feel for what it is. It takes me about 2 minutes. It doesn't take me 30 minutes to do. It takes me 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes just to click across the top screen because right now, right at the top of your screen, Isabella, where you see the attack story and the alerts. By the way, move the Control F because that doesn't belong there right now. But all those tabs across the top of your screen, do me a favor. I want you to click through one of them, all of them very fast. Click through each one, left to right. Clear, there you go. Now you're doing the job. You're doing the job. Activities, assets, you're doing the job. Okay. You're getting familiar. You're seeing what evidence is there. You're seeing what assets are involved. You're seeing what alerts are correlated with this incident. Okay, great. Now you're getting a feel for it. The next thing I do is I go right back into the attack story where I started because now this is where you're going to be when you open up the actual incident. Okay, when you open up this incident, this is where it brings you. The middle screen is the incident graph. It's showing you that at the center of this activity is involving this particular asset. And then all of those different lines that you see reflect different activity. You can see some of those lines are straight lines, some of those lines are dashed lines. Okay, if you scroll down just a little bit, it tells you what that means. The straight line is communication. The dash line, excuse me, is association. So that's why you can see that straight line to that 127 address is a communication signal. But that address is a loopback address because it's a 127 address. That 127.0.0.1 is called a loopback address. Does everyone here know what that is? No, everyone doesn't know what that is. So therefore, we should look it up. So somebody have some version of a AI language model because Google is like using a dinosaur. Well, not really. I still use Google, but just what is a loopback address? It's a reserved IP address. Okay? So it's basically the computer just talking to itself. It's not talking to external traffic on the internet. It's just the computer talking to itself. It's known as local host. Okay. So there's nothing malicious is necessarily associated with that. So go back into Defender. It's just good for you to know. Okay, so it has a communication with its own loopback address, local host, and then you can see there's two URLs, there's 7 files, right? So you can see exactly what those files are. You can see what those URLs are, but this is just showing you a different view, and this is the incident graph view. How do I know that? Well, it looks like an incident graph. And then if you look in the top left corner, it says incident graph. Okay. So again, now the next thing that you're going to notice is that when you click on the actual alert that we clicked on, which I believe was the third one, do you remember which one it
No,
was?
it was the first one, I believe.
Okay. Do you see what just happened when you clicked on the alert? Tell me what just happened.
Well, in the graph, it shows you like what it's associated with, which is the processes, the registry value, and the user.
Good correlation. Yeah, that's actually a really good observation. So, oh, you're clicking, you're clicking. What are you doing? What did you just
Oh,
click?
I was just clicking read more.
Okay, cool. So
Like,
I want you to, so exactly. So once you clicked on your specific alert, mind you, you really haven't done anything yet, but once you honed in on that alert, it brought you into the what? Because we just had the graph.
process tree.
Thank you. It brought you into the specific process tree and the alert timeline associated with this alert and this particular activity. So that's good. That's a good observation because you're going to repeat this step every time. Does everyone know what we did so far? All we did was we clicked into the incident. We clicked on this specific after we went through all the tabs, we clicked on this particular alert. Once she clicked on this particular alert, it honed in on the process tree and alert timeline for that alert. Okay. And you'll notice the difference in the view or the data that you get when you click on the alert timeline versus the process tree. And if you hover over read more at the top, which you did at the beginning, you can do that. It's just going to make your view a little smaller because it's going to have a lot more data. So go ahead and click on it and then scroll all the way up. You'll see it just gives you some, what happened, a sequence of alerts that might be indicative of human operating. And then it says recommended actions. Okay. And so that's essentially, these are some of the things that we're doing. If you want to read through those, you can. It can be helpful to you, but that's, I recommend if I'm starting out something, I'm going to look at all the information. I'm not going to just like hover over and not look at. I'm going to look at all the information. I'm going to gain more additional context, and that's it. So anyway, going into the process tree, which is going to be really the first place that we start, you'll see that it goes from oldest activity to then the most recent activity because it starts on the ninth and then it continues to go down. So what we did is during this investigation last week, we went through the process tree and we validated the actual uh, process that actually triggered this detection. Did someone have a question? No? So the first process in this process tree is for PowerShell. Now, we all know PowerShell is a legit utility, but we also know PowerShell is used for bad. So it gets abused a lot of time. And so right now you can see PowerShell right underneath it has potential human operated malicious activity. And that's Defender's way of saying, hey, this PowerShell script could be human operated malicious activity. Exactly what it's saying. So what we typically would do is we would click on that drop down arrow associated with this and we would look into the context of the PowerShell execution. And we can see that it is signed by Microsoft Windows. And we can also see that there's no virus total detections associated with this particular process. All right. So that's something that Defender does is it ingests the virus total detections into the actual alert so that if there is something, it might say 23 out of 72 or whatever. But we know based on this right now that this red atomic user initiated this PowerShell script and it triggered an alert in Defender. Doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just simply means that this is what it's triggering on. So we have to conduct more thorough analysis to get more context. Because right now, just the presence of PowerShell is not by itself inherently malicious. So we would continue to go down through this process tree, and we can see that there's a bunch of PowerShell executing a script here. But if you notice, there's nothing triggering right after that. There's no detections. Like if you click on one of those arrow drop downs, you're probably not going to see any activity, malicious activity. You have a hash value, and if you wanted to see what that hash is and make sure it's make sure it's PowerShell, you can simply just copy that hash value and drop it into VirusTotal and make sure that it's associated with PowerShell. But we're not going to see anything malicious here, or we shouldn't.
um,
Okay. So it's not showing anything. So, okay, that's good to notate, but it's not showing anything. And then go ahead and click on another one. That one's ending in D9. Click on another one and see if it's the same hash. No, different hash. Throw that one in there. So we have different hashes for PowerShell. Okay. Okay. So different hash and there's no detections. Can someone can someone think of a reason why these hashes may not be triggering anything in virus or why they may be different if they're both for PowerShell?
Um, it could be because it's an internal like file or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, that could be a reason. That could actually be a reason. That's an internal file. So go ahead and keep scrolling down in the process tree because we're not expecting anything malicious to pop here because there's no indication. Oh, okay. Now we got another suspicious indication here on what? Is it on PowerShell or is it on PowerShell executing another executable? So almost like a child process of PowerShell here. Because what spawned this RPC ping.exe? What process spawned that? There you go. PowerShell did. PowerShell spawned that. So the first thing I would do is being that this RPC ping triggered it, I would look directly above what triggered that, and I would look at that particular portion of the power process tree before I go into the actual, triggering indicator essentially. And I would just look in here and I can see the command line. And I always want you guys to look at the command line because when you see a command line, you can see that PowerShell is initiating that RPC ping. So PowerShell is essentially pinging that 127 address, which is the loopback address. And so if you don't know what this command line is doing, I recommend that you guys take that command line and throw it into ChatGPT and say, what is this command line doing? Be like, obviously you give context, but what is this command line doing so you could understand what it's essentially doing. But it's invoking the use of this RPC ping. And I have no idea what that is, but I'm assuming it's a form of a ping. When you're pinging something, you're typically seeing if that host or whatever is online. You're essentially establishing a connection with it, which is what PowerShell is doing. PowerShell is using RPC ping to establish a connection with that loopback address. So scroll down some more because we want to know, okay, it's signed by Windows. We can see here there's no detection. So scroll back to that RPC execution, and now you can get more context here. So this is what's triggering. It's triggering um the triggering indicator essentially because that's what this is. Like you would see in CrowdStrike, there's multiple triggering indicators. As a matter of fact, Isabella, do you want to go back into CrowdStrike? Because I want to make this correlation. Within CrowdStrike, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see we're in the process tree, well, process table, but it's the same thing. It's just a different view. Right here, you see that triggering indicator? It's triggering based on a command that was entered in a script. And so if you go back into Defender, we're essentially looking at the same activity in Defender because it's triggering on a command that was entered or executed by a script. Does everyone see that? It's the same, essentially the same thing. We're just looking in two different GUIs. Right? So PowerShell executed a script, which is that RPC ping. Do me a favor, Isabella, and go ahead and do a Google search on what RPC ping.exe is, because you should do that on every executable you see. If you don't know what it is, you should Google what is and the name of the executable so you can know what that process is used for so that you can understand it. It's a legitimate command line utility you use to verify and troubleshoot remote procedure call connectivity between client workstations and servers, particularly Exchange. So, and if you see here, it if checks it checks if RPC services respond to requests, helping identify network or firewall issues. It also listed as living off the land, BAS binary, sometimes used to text connection. So right now we're looking at legitimate activity from what I understand. Again, it's there's no hits, so go back into Defender. Right now, this looks like a legitimate Microsoft command line utility. We can see it's signed by Microsoft, and there's no detections in virus total. So continue moving along. And it's again, it's just showing use of living off the land binary, hover over that to run malicious code, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's malicious. I don't see anything here that's suspicious right now. So continue moving right along. All right, you can see there's more scripts, more scripts. There's a ton of PowerShell scripts here that are executing, which could be the reason why this alert is triggered in the first place. And then boom, we got some more traffic. So we got potential human malicious operated activity, which is the same thing this whole the name of the alert is. So I would open that out. Now, real quick, before you open that out, close it up. Close it up. What is the difference between these two events? They're different. They're different, right? Yeah, hover over that icon. Does it tell you what it is when you hover?
No, but that's what I was looking for. But I'm
But look
assuming,
at those three different, there's like three different icons right here. You have like a puzzle piece, you
yeah,
have some squares, and then you have like a file document, or really it says PowerShell executed a script. So that's essentially like a script icon,
yeah.
right? So, but there's three different icons. But what's one thing that stands out to you guys with these two potential human operated malicious activity? What's one thing that stands out to you that's different?
This one being blocked specifically, and it's saying that it's malware.
That's what I was looking at
Could this be a
because
plugin or something?
it's a good question.
I'm just
Why don't you Google what is
observations.
that puzzle piece icon represent in Defender? Because I honestly don't remember. So I don't remember. There's a couple of different ones, but I don't remember what that puzzle piece icon in Defender means.
Wait, nothing real. Is it to manage? Is it the right one though that we're talking about?
No, because it's saying what in Microsoft. So I would use like something like this, I probably would use ChatGPT. Um so because it's like I don't know, I feel like it's a better yeah, that additional context will probably help too. For endpoint, the puzzle piece icon generator signifies a software component or child process driver associated with a larger application rather than a top level executable application. Um,
I mean, a
so,
little more context.
hmm.
That it was a little more context.
Yeah, and it helped. You can tell it gave you a totally different answer because before it was making an association with Edge. But essentially, it's a some sort of software component or child process driver. Um, and then see show more says when you see it in a process tree, it indicates a component likely a child of a larger application, and that makes sense, right? So essentially, it's a child process of a large application, rather than the primary application executable, which really has its own unique icon. So it's just a component. So go back into Defender and you'll see that because there's multiple, right? If we right, PowerShell executed a script, right? That was the execution process, right? And then you can see it's affiliated. It's like essentially a child process of that. Well, actually, it's a grandchild process of PowerShell at this point because there's a parent process on top of it, which is this first one that doesn't have the malware label and that wasn't blocked. So if you open up that one above it, above the malware label, you'll see whatever this is, hover over the actual name of it, like yeah. So it says it's some sort of command. You can see it's like it's really just it says, and then there's a couple backslash shell open command. So it's some sort of command. And you can see that because you can see like the set value data is ending in CMD. And then if you scroll down to the one right underneath that, that has the malware label, that was what was actually blocked and associated with the malware label. So Defender detected and terminated this uh, behavior in process PowerShell during behavior monitoring. So PowerShell blocked this particular action. So scroll down a little bit because you're cutting off. Okay. So nothing here. So it just says remediation status remove and the access was success. So this is what was terminated because it's associating this particular command as malware. So keep scrolling down. I'm not seeing like a hash or anything, but typically once we do come across that, that's what we'll be able to validate. So this is essentially part of the analysis that we're doing. Again, we're seeing a lot of the same activity. And if I remember from a week or two ago when we were doing this, and I think Adonis was driving, we were seeing there was tons of like the same activity. So you can see here, we see even more of that right below. It's saying another process was terminated. Okay. So it's essentially terminating this command that is attempting to be run within this PowerShell script. That's what I'm getting from this. And that's why Defender is tripping out. You can continue to go down because this is what we're doing. I'm seeing the same activity, but I want to get to a point where I see something new or slightly different because as of right now, I'm seeing that Defender is actually blocking it. But all this activity is pretty much from a PowerShell executable, right? PowerShell is attempting to run a script, and within that script, there's a command that Defender doesn't like, and it's terminating it, and blocking it, and labeling it as malware. Everybody following along so far? Any questions? And then, oh, we see something slightly different. Defender prevented execution, and it looks like there's some sort of cleanup or command line that is attempting to delete or whatever, but it says as an active malware. We didn't see that before. Go ahead and open that up.
It also
Again,
says what I noticed, it also says a scheduled task.
okay. So looks like a scheduled task, cleanup, disk cleanup. So whenever I see that, um, a lot of different, I want to say, this could be like a scheduled task or maintenance or some sort of um, process that runs to clean up disk space or delete data. Um, doesn't necessarily mean it's malicious, but again, this is why Defender is tripping out right now. All because of the multiple executions ran by PowerShell. And again, this action was prevented and you can see it was blocked, but it was labeled as malware. So again, um, adding more context to our investigation. Okay, IFC and fodhelper.exe. So process command line. You can see here this in this command line, you can see that there's a lot of like what were called arguments. So this command line has a lot of like context to it because you can see like it's running CMD, it's running regex.exe, so multiple executables. And then at the end, it's running that fodhelper.exe. Again, if I don't know what something is, I'm gonna go ahead and Google it and look it up because I'm like, I don't know what FOD helper exe is. I have no idea what that is, but I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick Google search and see, okay, what is this utility used for? How is it relevant to the information that I'm seeing here within Defender? So is a legitimate binary used by Microsoft to manage optimal system functions? Okay, so based on what I'm seeing in this alert, I'm not seeing any like immediate actions we need to take because all of the, suspicious activity that we're seeing looks like a legitimate PowerShell process that executed a script. And then within that script, there were a particular set of events that were labeled as malware and blocked and terminated. Is everyone following? Because that's what I'm taking from it. And Richard, this is supposed to be you walking us through, but any comments, questions, clarifications that you want to highlight? You can go back into Defender, Bella, because I think we're moving along with this thing. Nothing necessarily has been jumping out to me as malicious, right? I didn't get a hash that was malicious yet, just a couple different instances where PowerShell was executing a script, and within that script there was a command line that Defender didn't like, and it's labeling it as malware.
Nothing in particular. I think seeing what the last thing that was triggered is interesting. Would be interesting to see. Like, what was the last event that occurred?
Yeah, let's continue to march down and see.
This is the last right here. This CMD executable and the con host.
For a user
Okay.
knowledge.
which are both signed and good.
And con host is legitimate. And again, legitimate binaries and processes can be abused for malicious purposes. That's why the additional context around the signer, the hash value, the overall activity is ultimately very important. See, when it comes to this, ladies and gentlemen, you have to put together a high level overview. Like overall, right now, within this one alert, I don't see anything that literally stands out as like there's a compromise or malware on host or anything substantially malicious because where's the proof, right?
Um,
We haven't seen any hashes or anything that's like, saying, okay, this is known suspicious reputation. Yeah.
I have a question with this one right here, the Trojan stuff.
Hmm.
Well, it was blocked, so I guess it wasn't success or it wasn't successful with what it was trying to do, but like why would the user have this going on, if you know what I'm saying?
So that's I want to say a question that requires a long answer, but um sometimes the user doesn't know what's being run. Like most of the time, a user isn't going to know if they're compromised. Right? They don't know that their user account compromised or that their host is compromised. Now, one thing that you always want to think about when it comes to investigating any alert is context. One piece of context that we don't necessarily we haven't necessarily asked is, well, is this activity expected? Because if this user is running PowerShell, for example, who should be running PowerShell in an organization? Let's start there. Does anyone know like what users should be running
Engineers,
PowerShell?
engineers.
Like red team,
Engineers, engineers, maybe red team, who else?
Mm,
Any
Give me
system
some
admins potentially?
system admins. Yep. So role-based context is important. So whenever you see activity like this, it's important to understand like who's the user, what's their role, what are their functions, and if you need to, maybe reach out to them and say, "Hey, John," or "Hey, user, whatever the name is, what are you doing? Like, is this activity expected on this host? Like, is this?" And then they'll typically be, "Yeah, I was testing A, B, Z, X, Y, and Z." Or yeah, I was provisioning this server, this workstation, right? So a lot of the activity that we're seeing is going to show up as suspicious because Defender is designed to observe behavior, and any anomalies from that behavior is going to trigger a alert. That's why it's our job to add the context, understand what's happening before, during, and after, and be able to paint a picture or a hypothesis to determine, hey, is this malicious? Hey, is this bad? Right? Make
yeah.
sense?
Yeah, I asked that question because, well, obviously this is a different environment for me, but like when I was working, obviously we had more context of who the user was, and obviously I would see these types of alerts like PowerShell alerts, and it would be system admins or engineers, and I just because I don't know who Red Atomic is.
Correct.
So I asked because I don't know if that's normal for what you guys see here. So,
Good question, good point, and good additional context. So, um, yes. Now, one thing I want to point out is if this user was from, or let's just point it back to you, Isabella, when you were working in your organization, if you saw a user working in HR running a PowerShell script, what would you think about that?
It's a little sus.
A lot of sus, right? What the heck is someone in HR or in marketing or in sales or in not a function that we just named a couple minutes ago doing running a PowerShell script,
Hmm.
right?
They
So
probably
that
don't even know
additional
how to do
context,
that.
huh?
They probably don't even know how to do it.
Exactly. And they probably shouldn't have, they definitely don't have the permission. So that right there, just based on that one fact alone, would indicate for me a user account compromise. Because it's like that person probably didn't have any of that. That may be somebody's account that was, compromised, and maybe their permissions were elevated, or we don't know. But essentially, there should never be an instance of somebody in HR running a PowerShell script. It just would never happen, or should never happen. But yeah. Um, Good question, good point. Now, go ahead and you see where it says that threat name, because we don't have a hash for this right now. I don't see a hash, but you see where it says threat name. Go ahead and copy that threat name and go ahead and Google that because obviously it's saying Trojan, sock, Sobo cat. I don't know what that is, but I know what a Trojan is. A Trojan is a form of malware. So, right there, that's, pretty explanatory. Um, Malicious software known as a Trojan is designed to infect Windows-based operating systems. Spyware, info stealers focused on capturing user data. So essentially, this is a Trojan, a form of like spyware or an info stealer. Stealing credentials, allowing remote access to the machine. Again, go back into Defender and you'll see, I believe this was blocked. Um, so again, this could be at the end of the yeah. So at the end of the day, one important element when it comes to Red Atomic is an open source pen testing tool. And
Mm,
so this is used
that makes sense.
by pen testers. Sorry?
That makes sense now.
Yeah. So it's used by pen testing teams or admins to perform a particular set of tests or functions, simulate activity. Um, and so again, that user context is important, and all the before after context is also important. Okay. But as of right now, I don't see anything relatively suspicious or that would indicate like compromise. Based on what we're seeing a PowerShell script executing certain commands that are triggering these alerts and that have been flagged as malware or that have been blocked by Defender. Is that the last one in the list from this
Yeah.
particular? So ultimately, in my disposition here, I would chuck this up to potential pen testing activity. Again, what the question as the analyst, what you would have to ask is, is there any ongoing pen tests right now that we're unaware of? Again, sometimes teams don't tend to let pen testing teams or cross-functional teams within a SOC don't always communicate effectively. And so if you are seeing some activity that is, you know, unauthorized or that wasn't you weren't made aware of beforehand, it could come across as something bad. And so that's why SOC teams have that open communication. What should happen if there's pen testing activities, which we should know ahead of time, of that particular activity. And the way to do it is the pen testing team or the engineering team, whoever's going to be conducting those series of tests should send an email to the SOC saying, hey guys, we're going to be performing a series of tests over the weekend or on Thursday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on these particular hosts, from these particular by these user accounts. So if you see these service accounts or if you see these admin accounts doing a series of these tests or performing this activity, just know it's expected. And so that when these alerts trigger, we can say, okay, yeah, this is known, legitimate, and expected pen test activity. But if we don't get that communication, we have to assume the worst. We have to assume suspicious activity, and we obviously have to follow our incident response workflow. Now, this one alert out of the whole 22 alerts corresponding to this incident doesn't seem to be suspicious. But again, if this was us working in a Fortune 500 environment, it would be it would be our responsibility, meaning your responsibility, Bella, to work this incident and all the corresponding alerts associated with it. Because, and I see your question, Richard. Um, just because this one alert isn't necessarily just revealing any suspicious activity does not mean that the entire incident is benign. It just simply means that within this incident, excuse me, within this alert, we're not observing any, but you have to go through all 22 now. So just want to point that out there. Richard?
Yeah, on the bare minimum, how many teams can we expect to be a part of within like a VSOC? Like in a typical like in your average company, I'd say.
Are we talking like just like a publicly traded Fortune 500?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I would say at minimum, you're going to get exactly what we have here, which is going to be now with under, and when you say, I'm going to say with underneath the roof of a SOC, which is virtual SOC, um, you're going to have a CTI team. You're going to have a threat hunting team. You should. You're going to have an incident response team. You're going to have a detection engineering team, and I'll add on digital forensics.
IAM,
That's a mature SOC. And then if they're really like make DLP and yeah, what were you saying?
IAM, Identity Access Management.
For sure, yeah, yeah. But mm, like I've only worked at billion-dollar and trillion-dollar companies, so very large companies, like multi-billion-dollar on the stock market. So I'm coming from very mature environments. And so, if you're not working for like a Fortune 500 company, you may not have that many. And like I've come across jobs on LinkedIn where they're like, yeah, like for example, I have an interview tomorrow, and the SOC is made up of 5 people. I'm like, oh my God. Because I've only worked on teams with 50 people. So I don't even like, I mean, it's like when I hear of a 5-person SOC, I'm like, these guys about to be, they're drinking from the fire hose. That's a small team. So I don't know what type of alert volume they have, but you know, I'm used to coming from an environment where there's, multiple clients and multiple alerts, and you could be working a couple hundred alerts. That sucks because most of it is noise, but I've also worked in environments where there were not as much alerts, but they were more true positives and malicious activity. So it was, you essentially had better visibility. Isabella, how many alerts on average were you seeing across your environment in your last role?
Uh, well, a normal a normal day where things aren't messing up, probably about 10 to 15 alerts in the queue. And my team was pretty small and it was divided up because we had Eastern Standard Time people and we had Pacific. So the Eastern would take over, the morning to afternoon shift, and then the Cali team would take over the night because they're 3 hours back. But I mean, my team was really small. I was gonna say a good question or would this be a good question to ask in an interview when you're asking questions about the company? How well is the communication between teams? Because
I
uh,
would say a better question to ask. Yes, a good question, but a better, more professional question. You can steal this. You're welcome. Is what is the cadence of communication? I'm asking the same thing you're asking, but it's from a senior perspective. Um, what is the cadence of communication cross-functionally between teams? Now, who can decipher what I just said in English? Because y'all know I'm
Um,
bougie.
Basically, like how does each team communicate with each other?
Exactly. And that's so important, Richard, and everybody else here, because what if we're seeing 100 alerts pop in the queue every day, right? What if we're seeing 100 alerts pop in the queue for the same benign activity? What's eventually going to happen is analysts are going to get burnt out. They're going to experience alert fatigue. They're going to miss something that is true positive because they're so focused on hitting the SLAs so they don't get penalized for a false positive benign alert. because there's SLAs associated with these alerts, right? So you have to respond, you have to assign and respond and investigate and remediate the alert within a specific time frame. And so if the analysts are just so focused on assigning alerts that are meaningless, then they're going to end up missing something that has, significant impact to the organization. And so that's why it's important to ask, well, what is the cadence of communication between these teams cross-functionally within the SOC? For example, Victor, how does the detection engineering team respond to tuning requests provided by the incident response team? And then you shut up. Because what's going to happen is he's going, well, yeah, so honestly, well, they could do a better job, right? And then you'll get the real answer, right? They'll be like, yeah, and then you'll hear. And most of the time, in most SOCs, it sucks because more likely than not, all of these different security operations centers are drowning in alerts. Like our queue right now in CrowdStrike has 1,200 alerts. Again, little different, but in the sense that a lot of these different SOCs, they'll have, I don't know, 100 alerts trigger a day. Out of those 100 alerts, 98 of them are benign. 98 of them are false positives. 98 of them we've seen before. And so it's just a repeat of benign activity, no action needed, and it's just, but we still have to spend our time going through the alert, validating, just like we did here, the process tree, looking, okay, is this the same user? Okay, different user. Okay, host, is it a workstation? No, it's a domain control, it's a server. So you have to gather that, evidence, and then you have to close it out. And it takes time. And so in a day, you could spend 3 hours just repeating the same process because the engineering team or the detection engineering team hasn't tuned the alert, even though there is an active open tuning request in the queue that was submitted 3 months ago. And that is annoying because if you're working and whether you're in the office or at home, whatever the case may be, and all of a sudden 10 alerts pop up, now you got to just, start doing this. It's like, damn, well, I'm wasting my time because we know this is benign activity. I could be doing something way more impactful or, that's just going to be, higher impact to the team and more meaningful than just being, a queue monkey doing a repetitive task over and over because there's a team that isn't responding to the tuning request. Or maybe it's a client and they don't have, here's another bottleneck you'll run into, right? One of the other bottlenecks that you'll run into is if you're working for an MSSP, and let's just say that you have a client that you're supporting, and that particular client you have raised a tuning request for saying, hey, client, just pick any company, hey, Bank of America, you guys have been, we've observed this alert for the last 3 months, and we've confirmed with you guys that it's benign and that there is no action needed for this. We're recommending that we tune this and suppress this alert so that we don't continue to see it and waste operational hours on meaningless alerts so we can focus more on the true positives and not miss anything or maybe do other work. And they may not have the manpower or the bandwidth or the expertise, knowledge, and know-how to actually take that tuning request and adjust it. And it could simply be just specifying that, hey, remember, we're talking about detection engineering here, folks. So we're going to learn about that. But one way that detection engineers perform their jobs, and I'll get to your question in just a minute. I don't know who asked. I think it was Courtney. Well, one way that you make tuning requests is, hey, look, we don't want to see this alert trigger because right now, if this alert was designed to trigger on, let's just say, 5 failed login attempts, we don't, or let's say 5 failed login attempts, we don't want to see this alert trigger unless it hits 10. So now if it hits 8 or 5, we're not even getting an alert for it. But if it hits 10, then we care about it. So just adjusting that tuning threshold, really just amending the threshold, changing it from 5 to 10, can suppress the amount of alerts that we're seeing by 50%. So instead of responding to 100 benign false positive alerts, you may only get now 5. You see what that does? It gets us our time back so that we can focus on more meaningful tasks. Questions? I think Courtney had a question. She said, so that's why there are so many security engineering jobs available. Yes, exactly. Um, Again, the difference between security engineers and security analysts are security engineers are building the detection and rule logic for the alert to trigger in the first place. So they're the ones building the potential human operated malicious activity alerts. They're the ones building the credentials accessed from password stores. That alert is built on detection logic or a set of rules and criteria that have a threshold associated with them. And so, again, when you understand the rule logic, you understand what the alert was designed to monitor, you can do a better job of responding.
And
So
so
that's
that's
why,
what we're going to be learning on Thursday, right?
yes, we're going to
Okay.
be doing Splunk engineering, detection engineering, security engineering, using Splunk mainly on Thursdays. Yeah, moving forward. Yeah.
All right. I'm excited for that because that's what I'm really interested in doing.
Yeah, I am too. I really like that stuff. All of this, and nothing is more important than the other. It's a matter of like having all these skills, like is honestly, it makes you like a marsupial. Like understanding cyber threat intelligence and the domain and the work that intelligence team is doing is important. Understanding threat hunting and the work that a threat hunting team is doing is important. Understanding the incident response workflow and how to investigate these alerts from an IR perspective is important, and understanding the detection engineers and their workflow is important. And being able to have where each one of those hats is invaluable because you know the primary functions of all the different teams within a SOC. So the fact that we all get access to that same, experience within this program is invaluable. And I'm not just saying that because it's authority, but realistically speaking, like we could literally just do cyber threat intelligence, and that's somebody's full-time job, and they're getting 150K doing that every day. You know, it could be, just SOC monitoring or threat hunting. Like that's each one of these days of the week is somebody's full-time job. And they're banging out threat hunts every day, or they're banging out intelligence reports every day. So it's important to understand. That's why I said some of these benchmarks we're creating is like if you follow the framework, if you follow the system and you do the work and you understand every day of the week the deliverable that should be produced by the end of the shift, you're golden. Then it's just interview skills. Who has the best ability to convince the person sitting across from them that they are the best fit for the job? That's who wins in the end. Tomorrow I have an interview. If I don't do a job communicating my skill set and experience, there's no second interview for me. If I do a good job, I get a second interview. If I do a good job, I get an offer. It's that simple.
Um, what was my question? I had a question for writing the dispositions in the turnover. Like, so we did this today. We went over this alert and
Do you think this activity is benign or do you think this activity is malicious?
benign from this one alert.
I would say so. I don't see anything inherently malicious, so I would definitely categorize this as benign. Again, in a perfect world, somebody's like there's going to be some of you who are working some of these alerts associated with this incident that's going to have malicious activity associated with it. So just FYI. So ultimately this would attribute to the entire, incident. Um, but this particular alert does not seem to be inherently malicious. So I would definitely categorize as a benign. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to write a summary disposition, and then what you'll do is you'll copy paste that into this turnover report with your the summary, which will be like your description, and then the actions taken would be your recommendations. In this instance, I wouldn't say that there would be no actions needed. But you need to go into SOCBite first, and then the last thing would be adding it to the turnover report once it's actually done.
Well, yeah,
Um,
because earlier I had asked Richard for like the template. I don't know if I
okay. Did you get back to I don't know if he saw your message or not, but
no, he
um
didn't.
I
he
did.
did. Okay. So did he give you did you see like take a look
I
at so
believe it was here, right? Mm,
Yeah.
Um,
so this is where you would find it. I can't remember. So yeah, right there. Invest number 4 says in VSOC investigation disposition. I believe that's the
Sta-
document.
Yeah.
And I believe there is a disposition template for each, like for example, there's a benign true positive. It just
Yeah,
says
there's one for every piece of tech that we use, I think except for Microsoft Defender. But there's disposition templates for CrowdStrike, for Sentinel-1,
and
I
the
I
tool
think for
necessarily,
SailPoint.
like the tool shouldn't necessarily change the disposition template too much, right? Um, it should be like, for example, the type of like, for example, if you're doing a disposition template for a threat hunt, the disposition template for a threat hunt versus an incident report is going to be different because a threat hunt is a different function, right? So we're looking for different things where the flow is the summary is going to be a lot different. But if you have a disposition template or disposition for a defender alert versus CrowdStrike, the disposition template should be very similar. It would just be the alert name that's different, the tool that's different, but the actual like context should be fairly similar. It would still be on this day at this time, the VSOC investigated an alert for name of the alert, period. Review of the alert details revealed, list out whatever you see. Further investigation confirmed, more information, and then based on the analysis provided, right? So that's going to be the disposition template, so to speak. But the fact that we have this is helpful because it kind of gives us a some standardization. So you can kind of just read through these. You can grab pretty much any one of them. So you can grab like a CrowdStrike, benign or whatnot.
yeah, because I don't see Microsoft
It
Defender
doesn't
here.
exist yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's what you just said.
yeah. I made this when we didn't have access to Defender yet.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
my
you shouldn't.
question was like what to include as far as, how we move this, how we found like, for example, the Trojan uh thing that we found. Oh, I'm at the bottom.
So
And
to
then
answer your question, you're going to use one of those disposition templates, and then you're going to use in your own best words, summarize the analysis. So what do we do? Well, pivoted in our analysis of like literally, I can off the top of the dome just go through. Hey, on this date at this time, the VSOC investigated an alert for potential human operated militia activity. Period. Review of the alert details and process tree revealed multiple PowerShell executed scripts, right, on the following host by this said user. Period. Further analysis of the process tree determined that all the activity we observed was benign. Additionally, there was, observed activity for whatever name of the script, you can pinpoint a couple different points in the process tree where there were, let's say,
malware.
malware labels that were highlights, triggering indicators, and you can say which were confirmed blocked by security controls. Like you can just revamp your entire process, what you went through.
Mhm.
Based on the analysis performed, no action is needed at this time. Case can be closed as benign. You're just gonna literally go through and um, you know, get what I'm saying. Just summarize what we did. But the template is used as guardrails. It's just a skeleton. You
Yeah,
have to fill in the blanks
yeah.
and just top down, right? You don't have to go crazy, but like try to give as much context as you can. And once you do that, then you can use AI to refine it to make it sound a little prettier, but you'll be giving AI a very substantial amount of context that is already, curated and very well put together. It just might refine. You'll be using the AI to refine your disposition template so that it's worded immaculately and the flow is, articulated correctly.
When putting the
Um,
date, am I putting the date that I investigated or the date that it occurred?
The date it occurred on April 10th, 2026 at 12:05 p.m., right? VSOC investigated an alert for. Boom. And make sure you say the VSOC investigated an alert for potential human operated malicious activity attributed to a multi go up because this is attributed to a multi ID 20 multi-stage incident involving, make sure you give that additional context. You see that? All right. So Isabella, you can get started on that like now. And yeah, that should be something that this should be all done on a shift. I need everybody to start doing these on a shift because the more you guys do this, the better you'll get. If you stand in the corner with your tail between your legs and you just don't do anything besides wait for somebody else to do it, you will never get good at this. But as soon as you start doing this a few times, I promise you it'll be so much easier. That's why I'm able to just off the top of the dome spitball this and it'll sound like it sounds actually pretty decent, but because I've done it so many times. But you can't stand in the corner with your video off and think that you're gonna know what the hell you're doing. It's not gonna work.
Can I ask
I
a
have a
question
question.
quick? Or go ahead, Richard.
Yeah.
No, ladies first.
Thank you. So if it was just me investigating all 22 of those alerts, would I still be doing a summary disposition for every single alert, or would I just be writing an IR report?
You would be doing a summary disposition of the incident, which you would reference 22 alerts,
Okay,
but you would pretty much highlight the main events of the investigation or the incident. For example, if I was writing this incident up, I wouldn't really be referencing this potential human malicious activity because it's benign it's in this whole grand scheme of alerts. I would
right.
mainly be referencing the true positive or the indicators observed within the incident
Okay,
because that's where the meat on the bone is, right? I'm not going to reference the benign stuff because out of the 22 alerts, there may be, I don't know, four of these alerts that are actually where the suspicious or malicious activity resides, and everything else is just, was also attributed, but not necessarily malicious.
okay. So you would just reference the ones that are not a true positive briefly to like, because you're mentioning 22 alerts, so you have to
I would
just
mention 22 alerts, but then I wouldn't mention, this is a really good question.
Mention the ones with significance.
I wouldn't in my disposition template write out 22 different alerts. I would not because I'm writing a report for this incident. When you are writing a report for this particular incident in the ticket, you can pivot to the incident and then see all the alerts. So I don't need to necessarily reference all 22 alerts in my disposition template. All I need to do is reference the incident I'm writing, and then I'm going to be highlighting and referencing the indicators that I observed that were malicious within, right? If anyone wants to go and see every single alert that's involved, right? Imagine if there was 50 alerts. You're not going to write out 50. Let's be for real. You're going to have a 17-page report. No, I ain't doing that. But
No one's
just
gonna read
know,
that.
sorry,
So no one's gonna read that.
no. So I wouldn't even reference the 22. I would just reference the alerts that had suspicious indication observed. I would mention where the suspicious activity was observed. Everything else I wouldn't. I would say though 22 alerts within attributed to this one particular incident. I would say that though.
All right, thank you.
And just know it is your responsibility to investigate this whole. So realistically speaking, like Courtney, you would be responsible for this one incident. You'd be investigating it. Well, let me correct myself. Yes, but if you're on shift and all that shit triggered, it's not like that's a lot of work. So like you would essentially be like, hey Bella, can you jump on these alerts and just validate what you're seeing there? I'll grab these and then I'll create the ticket. Just if you want, you can add any relevant. So this would be an example of something that we would be collaborating on because I would be like, yo, for example, I'd be like, hey guys, there's an alert in the queue right now. There's 22 alerts that were triggered, all attributed to this one incident. Um, Ultimately a lead analyst or somebody who's going to be like who's experience they're going to be able to like get like I could take this whole thing on myself and do it and correctly like attribute everything, right? If you're, you know, not as maybe efficient, then you may need somebody else to also like work a few of these alerts and hey Bella, could you grab those 4 alerts? I'll grab the rest of these. And just if there's anything, that you see, just can you add it to my ticket? You know what I mean? And then that would be like the collaboration effort. Um
Depends on the
Overall.
work dynamic, like in your work environment too, like how they go about it, or
That's
if
true.
they're like, well, one analyst should be taking at least 22 alerts, then you gotta take those alerts, unless it's um, like you guys should be working together to tackle this incident.
Yeah, it's again like there's so much context, but like, I've worked in environments where like, it was very I don't know how else to say it besides like toxic, but like where, management was like super, hardcore and it was just like, and I'll be honest, I've adopted some of these attributes um and I've implemented some of them in my business and into the program because I want you guys to be great and I want you guys to be able to handle whatever comes next so that, when you go into an environment, you're like prepared. You're a rock star. You stand out. People are respecting you right as soon as you get there because they're going to see you come from a militant background where like you were trained. And so you're going to stand out versus some of these other people who come from lackadaisical environments that when they get into the environment where it's high intensity, they can't hang. So that's why I require my standards are super, super high. That's my experience. So when I have you guys sign in and out, right? That's because there's a level of like there's a level of intention of courtesy, professionalism, and accountability. Like I've been in environments where if you didn't acknowledge the turnover, you were getting written up because the manager was like, "Yo, did you not see the turnover got sent out?" Literally like that. Imagine. Did you not see the turnover that was sent out?
I think
Yeah.
that might be my last day working there.
Yeah, but you're not going to say that if you're making, 170K and, you like getting a $12,000 check every month. You probably won't be saying that. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? And and realistically speaking, like, I learned like, you know what? Corporate America it is what it is. It ain't changing. Like every company has a Karen, just so you know. Every
I
company
know.
has a Karen. Every company, every neighborhood in the HOA has a fucking Chuck. You understand? Hey, can you lower it down? Or like a Karen. Are you guys in this community? Do you live here? I've never seen you here before. Bitch, move. Like, For real. So you got to have thick skin. So some of these measures and these procedures that I have implemented is so that you guys can go into an environment and at least be like, man, I'm so happy I ain't got to deal with none of that bullshit. Like it's lackadaisical. I ain't got to sign in and out. I don't got to worry about like, but the fact that you will have already been trained and do that, like you might have someone say, "Hey, Courtney, don't even worry. You don't have to sign in and out in the morning. It's all right. We don't. It's all right." But at least you're like, "Oh, okay." Like, and now you can, but like the fact that you're doing, "Hey, team, good morning. Hey, signing in," or that will show that you come from a background where, you understand like the seriousness and like cybersecurity is a serious job. It's not like cybersecurity, you are a first responder. Like, think of it like police, law enforcement, or fire department, like nurses. I have the utmost respect for law enforcement. Again, obviously, there's people who abuse their powers and who do terrible things. I'm not oblivious to that. But I have the utmost respect for military people who put their lives on the line. I have the utmost respect for law enforcement who respond to these calls and somebody's right. I have the most respect for the fire department, the people who are going into buildings, burning buildings. I have the utmost respect for nurses who are frontline COVID, dealing with people, dying in front of them every day. I have the utmost respect for these types of people. Cybersecurity, you're a first responder on the internet. For real. We honestly don't get enough respect. We don't get enough appreciation because we're the ones at the front line of defense and backbone, EMT, of course. Sorry. I'm law enforcement. Yes, fire department, EMT, 100%. At the end of the day, those people probably should be at the top of the list because they're responding to people, and it's always an incident, literally incident, every one of those calls, right? So, but cybersecurity, you are a front line of defense and backbone to every chiropractic, massage therapist. Let's just add them to the list. Let's add everybody to the list at this
I'm
point. You know
crying.
what I'm saying? The line cooks, the people who are the laundress. I mean, let's just, you know what I'm saying? The
Servers.
beekeepers, the people the bees, they pollinate. So, you know what I'm saying? The lawnmowers. I mean, at the end of the day, the grass has to get cut. Like, but no, for real, respect people. Y'all are crazy. Who's doing this? Um, you
I
know,
still had a question.
yeah. Thank you.
Oh,
Somebody had to take me off that tangent.
yeah.
The
I knew I had to
teachers,
do.
the
Oh,
teachers for real though. The
oh
teachers.
yeah, we can't ignore the teachers. We can't ignore the teachers for sure. Two things. First, it's not a question, but I saw Anthony from Delta on Sunday. He sends his best in regards to you. Wanted to say that before I forgot. And then second, it's kind of like a half serious, half joking question.
Okay.
What is the easiest job in cybersecurity I can get that will pay me the most money?
Hmm.
Incident response if you want to keep doing the same thing over and over every day.
And I'm okay with that if they're paying me $130,000. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
I
start with
mean,
that.
that
I'm getting
burnout
real
gets
good at that.
real.
let me tell you guys something. Let me
for
tell you
sure.
guys something real quick because I know a thing or two about, you know, stuff. Um, let me just say this when it comes to easy, right? Um, how do I want to put this? Um,
So there's nothing easy.
when it comes to like nothing is easy. The easy way, my mentor told me this a while back. May he rest in peace, Frank Angiolelli. As a matter of fact, I was doing some work with him part time. I had a part time gig with him, and that's where I met Ben, who will be coming here this week. We were working with Frank, and we were working with an MSSP, and the client was a cloud company in Palo Alto, and and Frank used to always say he would be like, "Yo, the easy way is the hard way." And the hard way is the easy way. And once he said that, like I knew exactly what he meant because doing things cheap or the wrong way ultimately is harder over time. And that's why when you cut corners and stuff like that, you end up paying twice. More money, it costs more money, time, and resources. Now, when it
Mhm.
comes to like doing an easier job, like I've done some jobs where they're, fairly easy, not much going on. Like it's pretty lax. I mean, like you get some alerts, some days it's more busy than others, but it's easy once you do it enough. But to be
Can you
honest,
refer me there? Can you refer me there, please?
can I refer you there?
Yeah.
Once you
I need somewhat of a soft life, man.
soft life, you want to be
I
a
need.
passenger princess. Well, let me ask you this. How many mock interviews have you done?
I've only done two so far.
Only two. Okay, so let's get to 10.
Okay.
Let's get to 10 and you can choose. By the way, when you guys are doing these mock interviews, I'm serious, like it's going to help. But when you do these mock interviews, make sure you're uploading different jobs too. Okay. Don't just upload the same job and do the same mock interview for the same job and do that over and over because once you do that once or twice, it's fine. But do different interviews for different roles at different companies. It can still be the same SOC analyst role or CTI role, whatever, but just do different roles. So it's at a different company, so you got a different set of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very important. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay. The only reason I've done like two so far is not gonna lie, like since I started in December, this has kind of been like my everyday thing. I just got tired, you know. And it sucks
get burned
because
out.
like I'm getting to like the finish line of like where I set my deadline to, and it's like, oh, I'm dragging ass now, you know.
Hmm.
And I'm being realistic about it with myself too. Like the past like 2 weeks or so, I've been sleeping a lot more than I usually have, and I'm just like, oh, I need to shake the funk.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
I get
that's
that.
kind of yeah, yeah. It sucks. It's coming up on like about to come up on the 6th month of doing this.
Hmm.
But yeah, now I'm like, oh, I'm really feeling the fatigue now.
Yeah.
Not just from a physical standpoint, from a mental standpoint too. Like I think I applied to a job today. It took me like 15 minutes to get through the application.
Let me ask you a question. How many job applications have you done in the last 6 months?
Uh, Actually, I got to the 100 mark today.
Okay. Now,
Yeah,
can I?
but that's been through like well this like past month and a half or so doing that.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So,
where I felt comfortable. Okay, like I can start applying some places.
right. So essentially, I'm going to touch on this because this is so important, and I appreciate the vulnerability in you sharing this because it's real, right?
Yeah,
So you've been in the program 6 months, and you
about to
finally,
be 6 months.
right? So I'll just round it,
Yeah.
and you within the last month and a half finally felt like you've got a grip on this where you can actually be in it, start applying for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, which is you're right on time and right on schedule, by the way. You're not late, you're not behind, you're right on time and right on schedule. Now, one thing I want to say, and I think you're doing a phenomenal job, but I want to also level set reality. I have to give a reality check here. A
Yeah.
hundred jobs, mind you, in 6 months, and out of those 100 jobs, all of them have been within the last month and a half, right? We'll just call it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is not me shitting on you. I don't shit on anyone here. I help, like, I'm your coach, I'm your brother, I'm all that. That's nothing.
Yeah, I know.
That is, you haven't done enough work. Not showing up. Yes, you have. You've done the work. You've developed the skill set, but you don't have enough volume.
Yeah.
So remember, I told you guys from the beginning, the job search is multi-dimensional. Now, the technical aspect you're getting, you're progressing, you put the work in, yes. But what you haven't done is you haven't done enough volume. That's clearly it. 100 job applications, I did, and I didn't do it, but I've accomplished 300 applications in the last 7 days. You haven't done enough volume. Now, here's the cool thing about this whole thing. You don't have to do volume. See? I've thought ahead. See, you don't even have to apply for jobs anymore. And to be honest with you, that's a waste of your time because all of you shouldn't be applying to jobs. You should leverage and delegate that to somebody else because who the hell has 20 minutes every day to do one application? Upload my resume. Here's my name. Your last name takes 5 minutes to write. So you ain't got time to do 25 applications a day. And Bella, you're laughing too, but same shit. You got to be doing your interview, right? None of us have the time. That's why I'm not doing it either, because it's not even like it's not even feasibly possible. So, because we believe in working smarter and not harder, Richard, what you're going to do is because now that you're ready, you're going to go ahead, you're going to do 8 more mock interviews because that's what you have to do in order to even qualify for this service. And that's just me just spitballing. I may make that interview number 100 because if you have done, mind you, we didn't have this tool 6 months ago, right? So if we were to be enforcing this 6 months ago, you probably would be at 100 interviews already. And how would you feel based on where you are right now? If you did 100 interviews, do you feel like you'd be confident in any interview you come across? The answer is yes,
Yeah.
right? If you've never made rice before and you don't have a rice pot, all right, then your rice is gonna suck, okay? And Richard, I've had your rice, all right? It can be better, all right? I've
Well,
had your rice.
mind you, we lived together 6 years ago.
Okay, were you just starting to cook?
Yeah, I was just starting to cook.
It's okay. His rice didn't suck, but like the house did, the fire alarms went off a couple times when he was cooking, but he
Oh
didn't
my
have the window
God.
open. But what I was saying is, like, if you've never cooked rice before, then your rice is gonna suck. You don't know to add oil and salt into the water, and right? So the more you do it, the better you will get. And so I want you guys to get in a position to get the skills. You should be able to perform every one of these days, every function, because every day is a function. CTI, threat hunting, incident response, detection, engineering. You should be able to perform every function on your own or damn near close and be able to speak to it confidently because you've done the interviews, you've got the reps in, you've made the mistakes, you've got the jitters out, and you can speak to it confidently in every aspect, right? If I said, "What is site authority?" Well, you should be able to say, "Well, it's an MSSP." And okay, great. And you should be able to speak to working in 24/7 Funk, and this is the tech stack that we use, and you should be able to say that. And so once you get to that point, then and only then does it actually start mattering when you apply to jobs. Because if you're apply, if like for example, we have now a service where we can allocate and you guys can now get jobs applied to every day and you won't have to do anything. You can literally track the amount of jobs like I showed you earlier on this call. But that doesn't make sense to do because what will happen is you will get an opportunity, it will land in your lap, and you will drop the ball because you're not ready. So we can't avoid and duck the work. Not saying this to you, Richard, because I'm not speaking, I'm just generally speaking now.
Mhm.
So the fact that you're fatigued, yes, that's normal, that's natural because you've been doing the work. And so have other people on this call. I'm not just saying no one else has. A lot of you have. But when you're doing the work, it gets tiring, it gets burnt. I've been burnt out for years. Matter of fact, but Richard, you've seen it because you've seen me 3 years ago when I was burnt. I'm still here,
Yeah.
burnt out, but it gets better, right? It gets better.
It
So
will get better when it'll get better when I'm paid.
yes, it gets better when you're paid. So get those 8 mock interviews done. You're supposed to send each one to me, so I can review it, so I can just take a look at it. And then we can turn on the job application process for you. Again, for those of you who are interested, it's a super affordable service. So you guys will be very happy with the results, but I don't want to implement that until you've done enough of the, preliminary groundwork that is needed so that there's no sense in someone, you get an interview to come up and then you get on the interview and, hairball. Yeah, so we don't
Well,
want that.
what Will just did is he did the part of the YouTube video where the YouTuber talking brings up a pain point and then he segues it into the sponsor of today's video.
The
That's
sponsor.
exactly his sponsor is this white glove service. He took my problem and said, "Yeah, Richard, you're doing so great, and then you can pay $100 to me."
No, not to me. Not to me. It ain't even going to me. We'll facilitate the transaction, but no, in all seriousness, like I I think it was the best decision I've ever made. Literally, I just started this a week ago. And again, before I introduce anything to you guys, I need to know it works. I need to know it's efficient. I showed you guys my LinkedIn, my emails, the amount of, things that I'm seeing, like opportunities. The volume has went up, say, like 300 we've done 300 four, actually close 384 is exact, because some of the Indeed, just FYI, some of the Indeed and Glassdoor links are not working, converting into Job Search Genius. I got to look into that, but all of the like easy apply links in LinkedIn and the LinkedIn application links are working. So there's 384. So arguably, that's almost 400 jobs in a week. And you did 100 jobs over the course of 6 months. And most people in this community haven't even done probably 20 jobs all together. So, Marcus, how many jobs have you done in the last 3 months?
0.
How do people know how do you get it? First and foremost, how do you get a job when A, no one knows you exist, and you B, have never applied to jobs? The answer is you don't. So I made it my point to eliminate a third of the work for you. Applying to jobs is tedious, it's time consuming, it's boring, it's hard because it's so easy, but it's so time consuming? And so, that's why we are offering this service. Unfortunately, it's not something I can include in the program cost because it's an ad hoc expense. It's actually a real person applying for jobs, not a bot, not an AI agent. Like it's not even possible because it's to scrape the internet. Like no AI agents doing that at this point in time. So it's a real person actually doing it. So we're talking about cents on the applications, like you know per application. For me, it's like, what is your time cost? I was just outside today going around my house and I was looking at the grass and I was like, all right, let me go look at a lawn mower. I'm gonna start doing my grass. And then I went outside in the front yard and I went in the back and I said, shit. I was like, this is a large lawn. And I'm looking at these mowers I'm gonna push around. I'm like, dang, so I'm gonna do an hour of mowing the lawn every week? Now, that may sound like a little bit like lazy of me to say, but that's a lot of work every single week to have to mow a lawn for an hour and a half, 2 hours, pushing this thing. I got a big backyard and a pretty large front yard. Like, I ain't doing that. Come on, John. Johnny, I'll pay you the 50, $60. Come on over here and do this. And maybe that, because I would have to cut it every week, or I can pay this guy once a month, $100. I'm paying him because my time is worth more than doing that. Um, how many applications are included in that $100 again? I believe I have to get back to you on that because I think it's going to be maybe $150, and I want to say it's going to be closer to somewhere between 500 to 1,000 jobs. So it's reasonable. If it was $200 for 500 jobs, it's still worth your time. I'm just ironing out the last minute. I'm halfway through the 1,000, so I'm kind of still working through the exact numbers, but it's going to be, I want to say 150 to $200 per 500 to 1,000 jobs. So reasonable, and I would say I don't think anybody on this call would be opposed to that. Um, Again, I'm gonna do finish out this process, and then once I hit that thousand, like just from doing 400 jobs, I'm seeing a significant increase in the outreach and again from the interest and whatnot. And that's just with 400. So when we double that, it's even going to be more. And then I'm thinking like on a monthly basis after that 1,000 to hit like a monthly or weekly KPI on jobs, because that's something that should always be consistent. I think we should be consistently doing that always. You should always be interviewing. You should always be applying to jobs. That's just something that we should always do, like going to the gym, right? Because we should all be looking for the next best opportunity, always staying sharp, always being hot and in the most demand, always updating your resume and building your skill set so you have the most current skills, experience, projects on your resume, on your LinkedIn. But it's going to be affordable and it's going to be saving you all a lot of time. Just think about it. $150 a month. That's a weekend out, one weekend out at the bar, or getting a couple drinks with buddies, and taking a girl on a date to, well, girls don't like they don't really like what is it called? Cheesecake Factory. So, probably gonna cost a little more than
I'm
that.
crying.
But yeah, if you take them to a Yankee game, Joel, it's gonna cost, yeah.
That'll run you on the tickets by itself because you don't wanna put her in the 400s or the 500s.
The 400s or the 500s, there's no second date because she's gonna go home with her nose bleeding. So it's like kind of like, damn. I like the
Yeah, there.
Cheesecake Factory too. It's my favorite. What was your question, Marcus? How many? Yeah. So the goal is 1,000. At the minimum, it'll be 500. But that is a lot. Like, that is a lot. Let me know who wants to take on the task of doing. Matter of fact, is if someone does 500 applications for the month of May, I'll cover your first month of this service. Deal? Deal. Who wants to do 500 applications the month of May?
Nobody.
Okay, then. If you do 500 applications for the month of May, I will cover your next 500 applications. Who wants to take me up on that challenge? If you don't do 500 in Job Search Genius, I'm not doing it. Who wants to do the challenge?
It can't just be like 500 I apply to like throughout the entire internet, or
No, it has to be this month.
The month of May,
no,
okay,
no,
which
I'm
is
not
in
saying I'm
3
not
days.
saying the month. I'm saying like how you apply to jobs on LinkedIn, you apply to jobs on Indeed, like that's
Yeah.
all be in Crowd Genius.
Well, it has to every single one of those jobs has to be recorded in Job Search Genius. Otherwise, how are we going to know?
Oh yeah.
Right? And all you have to do is just copy the link and then it's in there. So you still have to do the application. It's just being able to track it. So if anybody wants to do 500, which is on the lower half of what I just said, I will cover your next 500.
That's
And the
like
Indeed ones aren't working.
that's like damn near impossible.
It's hard. It's not easy. So, think about it. Let's just do math, right? Because Richard, in the next 30 days, how many haircuts are you going to get? Real shit.
It's maybe two.
How much you pay per haircut?
$50 a cut.
Have a good night, everybody. Have a good night. How much?
What? $50.
So that's $100, right?
Yeah.
So don't aspire to look like Drake for the month of May, which you're not going to do because it's your birthday in May, and you'll have 500 jobs.
I'm crying. Listen, Rainer's dad ain't cheap.
$50. I know. That's why I cut my own hair. You guys see what's going on?
Hey, you see, and that's why I don't trust other men who cut their own hair. Because why are you so cheap that you can't go to a barber?
No,
I don't
it's
feel
not.
like paying that much, man.
No.
He said
It
he
ain't.
said go scruffy so you can get these jobs.
No, it ain't cheap. It ain't cheap. I'm telling you what, I'm cheap in other ways. That ain't it. I'm not cheap about that. Right? 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 Okay. Well, right. I'm not cheap about that. What I'm cheap about is when I go on a trip somewhere and 3 days in, I'm like, damn, this shit's growing back already. I want to be able to line myself up
You
and
might need
take
a new
care of
barber
it.
then, my brother. You might need a new barber then. 3 days in, 3 days in,
Yeah.
you're joining looking janky. You need a new barber then.
No, my hair be growing back fast. You tell me, see, you're Dominican. Y'all got some different, right? I'm over here. Mine grows back in almost instant. I get home and I'm like, damn, I see the green already. This is crazy. Like I just got to the party. Like this shit's crazy.
No, when my husband gets a haircut, the very next day, I could see it growing back in already. And he's
See?
Dominican, so
See?
Yeah, y'all got to get some new barbers, man.
Yeah, you see, yeah, they don't know what they talk. Yeah, you gotta
what
tell
is
your
the
husband.
barber gonna do?
No,
Wax it?
I
That's
don't
the
think
only
I ain't
yeah,
gonna
thing.
lie.
no,
Ain't
Y'all
nothing
got
that's
to
wrong
put
just
with cutting
fast
your
Vivica
hair
on
own
that.
hair.
growth.
Yeah,
That's
nothing wrong with cutting
that's
your own
fast
hair.
hair growth. That don't got nothing to do with barbers. Your hair grows faster than others.
Yeah, and like, come on.
Nah, it's like a half and half thing right there. It's like a half and half thing right there.
Yeah. Well, here's the
What
thing,
man,
right?
what man's hair grows that fast realistically? Like when I
All
hear
right,
that, like I need to see a day by day side of your head.
bro. All right, bet. I'll show you. Because I
Hey,
literally
similar
cut my
genetics,
hair.
I guess. Mm-hmm.
I gave myself a trim today. Like I literally used the buzzer. I shaved my face because 2 days ago I did it and it was, it was like, dang,
Mhm.
Monday. No, I did it Monday, yesterday. Yeah. So anyway, so nobody's taking me up on the offer. So I mean, literally.
I
So I
think
did,
I'm the only one. I'm the only one who really could at who could right now for you.
well, y'all could. I mean, listen, if you want to do it, listen, Richard, if you do 300,
Okay,
I'll cover your following month. I'll cover your 500.
gotcha.
300 and not 299. If you do 299, I'm not doing it. And they have to all be in Job Search Genius. And
Gotcha.
I know
Okay,
what you're
so
gonna do. I know you're gonna do all easy apply and be like, well, I got it. And it's gonna like, all right. But the reality is, like the easy apply, you're limited to 25 a day. So actually, let me up this real quick because I want to make sure. So 25 times 30.
bro,
Damn.
I hate going on LinkedIn to apply for a job even because I put today I put on to show like for the ones that came in for the applications like I put up today, and it's like 6 hours ago over 100 people already applied. I'm like, God damn.
Don't fall for that because a lot of that is skewed. Don't fall for that. And again, 90% of those people are not even qualified to apply in the first place. Their resume sucks and they're working at Blockbuster. So
Oh
don't even
yeah,
worry
I
about it.
saw I saw the I can see it because I saw the premium until the end of the month. I see like the amount of like entry level people who are applying
Exactly.
Oh,
compared to
They have a security plus and they're on TryHackMe and they just did a Udemy course and they think that they can go get a job making with the job posting. So 90% of those people are disqualified and their resume is trash. So they're not even going to be considered. You're at the top percent as soon as you submit. However, again, they are working at Blockbuster. So
but Will, I was
yeah, I don't
watching
really
the
appreciate. Thank you for the giggle because y'all don't appreciate the. I'm a comedian for real. Like Blockbuster is not even doesn't even exist
at
anymore.
all. At all. Listen,
That's
Will, but
genius.
I was
That's
watching
genius.
this cybersecurity podcast, and one of the guys on there has said something about like how like the percentage of jobs that already hit LinkedIn already have a name on it. How accurate is that?
Uh, I can't speak factually and tell you.
From your opinion, from your opinion.
My opinion is that I think yes, job post baiting is a thing. But I do think that again, there's over 200,000 jobs added to LinkedIn a day.
Right.
And that's overall, not just cyber. And so when it comes to seeing a certain amount of people apply for a job, like you have to think about how many people are. Let's just take a minute. Before you guys met me and enrolled in this program, how many of you applied to a job in cybersecurity before?
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Before you guys enrolled into this program, because I speak to a lot of people all the time, how many of you have tried applying to a job on your own before?
Oh
With
yeah,
the
I have.
resume that you had, with the experience that you may have taken a security plus, or you may have, just applied to jobs, right? The facts are most people have applied to jobs on their own, and they were like, I'm not getting any responses, right? And the reason why is because A, they probably don't have the right experience, so they're not qualified. B, their assets, their resume, LinkedIn, and all their marketing materials are trash, so they're not even getting through to a human because the ATS doesn't even let them in. And then, obviously B, they don't even have the skill, like the interview skills, so but they're not even getting interviews, right? So the my perspective is that 90 I would say 95 to 98% of the people applying for those jobs are not qualified and they're not even going to be seen by a recruiter. So timing is important because if the hiring team has gone through, 50 applicants already and only one person was, you know, decent, like you can imagine. So timing is key because a lot of times the opportunity is out there but we just take so long to either apply or send our resume. I've even shared jobs with you guys. I actually have a few I need to add. I've shared jobs with you guys in the leads channel, and I got to do a better job doing that consistently. But by the time somebody even sent an email with their resume, the person who has the job has already spoken to three other people in that same day. So now there's three other people on their radar. Sometimes it's about who is at the right place at the right time and who responds accordingly. That's why when these people reach out to me for the roles that I'm really, once I see hybrid or once I see in office, I typically am like, all right. But if I see remote opportunity, and it's within what I'm looking for, I immediately respond and I always attach my resume right away because what happens next is they call you. And if they call you, then they're going to just basically review the role and they're going to say, hey, do you agree to this right to represent? Can you just respond to the email with I agree and a latest copy of your resume? That's how it works. And so today, that's exactly what happened. They said they had a role. And again, this is why being confident is so important because the guy told me, yeah, the role, he was like, what do you want? What rate are you expecting? And Courtney, what did I say when he said, what rate are you expecting? Can you tell me what my response was to him? Just tell me what my response was.
Well, what is somebody with my experience getting paid? Like, what's my market value?
No, no, I'm not asking him for permission. Hell no. He's gonna tell me what I'm not telling him, but close. No, my response was, um, well, what is the rate range for the role? So I'm asking him, well, you have the job, you have the client. What's the rate range? You call me with a job. I'm not spilling the beans first. But what he did say, well, they're paying $80 to $90 on W-2. That's what he said. And I said, oh no, no. I'm 125 an hour. He says, okay, so can we submit you 120? Damn, that's a pretty big jump, don't you think? $30 difference, huh? We just found $30 like that, Rakesh. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Rakesh.
I'm
Right?
crying.
Yeah. $30 difference just from doing that. That's some people's salary. So, this is why it's so important to be confident and to understand this. I'm telling you guys how it works. I'm telling you guys how it works. This is how it works. So, but yeah, I forgot where I was going.
I need to refine my approach.
Oh, timing. Because if you wait too long, if I didn't respond to his, and these guys are aggressive. If they send you if they call you after you respond, I'm interested in attach your resume. If they call you and they say, okay, William, I'm going to send you the right to represent. Can you just respond to the right to represent and then send me the latest copy of your email? And then we hang up the phone. And then within 30 minutes, they don't have a response. They're going to call me back and say, yes, hi, did you get my email? So you have to respond in a efficient manner, in a time sensitive way. That's why I tell you guys, have your resume handy. You will get the results if you do the work. I promise you. You haven't gotten the results because you haven't done the work and or enough volume. That's the only issue. That's the only issue. Because here's the metrics. If you apply to 100 jobs, even with the resume that you guys have, which I promise you, the resumes that you guys have is my resume template. My resume template. My site authority experience on there and your site authority experience on there are the same. Maybe I have a couple other companies, yes, but the template and the content is the same. So, with that, good night, Courtney. Just with that being said, last thing I want to say on this is that if you do the work, you will get the results. Okay? You will get the results, but if you apply to 100 jobs based on modest metrics, out of those 100 jobs, 10 of them, let's say, see your resume. It's like what they see. Out of those 10, 5 of them may reach out to you for an interview. Out of those 5, you may get one offer. Right? The conversions, it's just like in sales. So the more people you speak to, the more closer you are to a yes. But you have to get through all the no's to get a yes. Any last minute questions before we go ahead and head out here tonight?
You're forgetting one thing too.
Oh, okay. What is that?
You need to have faith. It's a big piece. It's a big piece.
That's the most important part of everything is yes, you need to have faith and be confident because without faith, I mean, I don't even see how you can start something, you know? So, that's yeah, you're right. That's the most important is be have faith, desire backed by faith and do the work because you can't pray your way to success. A lot of people they think that they can pray their way to and substitute it. You got to stay prayed up. You got to have faith, but you got to also do the work. And so I'm looking forward to all of the work that we're going to be doing. Isabella, make sure you capture that in your Sockbite report. I had one thing I had to point out and ask the Sockbite team, and that is if you're working in a fence in Sockbite, can you actually add your investigation details there, or does it have to be promoted into a case? I'm not sure. Richard, you may know.
I think I know what you're talking about. So when I assigned myself the case, I'll share my screen. I think, let me see. I gotta sign back in. When I assigned myself the case in Sockbite, and then I created the case from I created the case from the alert I assigned myself, and then it did create it in the SOAR after.
Wait, say that one more time. Sorry, you created
No, I assigned myself the case in Sockbite, and then
the offense in
the
Sockbite.
offense. Yeah, I assigned myself the offense in Sockbite, and then
Yep.
I created the case from the offense, and then it did show up in the SOAR after.
Show me how you did that. So when you say you created the case from the offense, is there a button from the offense to push, or you have to manually?
Give me a second. I gotta
Yo,
sign
the
back in.
Cheesecake Factory is fire, Ashley. I just reading your comments. I love the Cheesecake Factory.
If
She said,
she
I'll pick
can't
up.
go to the Cheesecake Factory, she's not for me.
Yo,
Bro, they have even like happy hours and it's like hella good. All the stuff that's on there.
I love the Cheesecake Factory. Oh, and if you really know the Cheesecake Factory, you know about their vegetarian lasagna they don't no longer offer, but it was so good. If you know, you know. Or you get a nice lemon drop at the Cheesecake Factory. You get the bread, you get the avocado egg rolls. I'm not a big back. I just happen to know what good food is. Like,
Oh,
Egg
you sound like
avocado
a
egg rolls are fire. Oh my God.
yeah, facts. That is
uh what is
bendy.
this? I think I would have to have something assigned to myself first. Offense management. But then how did I get this
I
assigned?
don't think you can.
But
What
there was a way because I did do it. Because I
check the
found
box. Check the box on the right on the left-hand side. Like check one of those boxes. It says
let me
assign.
do a Defender one. Oh, assigned to me. That was it.
But assigning to you, that just assigns it to you.
Yeah, but then after I got assigned, uh it allows me to if I'm mistaken it was here, it allowed me to make the case.
So why don't you don't have any assigned right now, right?
No.
Bella, share your screen and go into Sockbite into the one that you have assigned and then follow the same steps Richard was about to just do and show us if that is allowing you to create the case. Because that's ultimately what I need to know. I'm not 100% sure.
Wait,
Well, well, I'm still waiting for you to respond to my email
Oh, so
with that stuff to review.
thanks for reminding me. Let me pull that up here so I can do
Yeah,
that.
it's cool. Ugh.
Um, what day did you send it? Because I have a bunch of notifications just from the turnover.
wait, what did you want me to do?
Oh, I found it. April 20th.
Yeah.
I got it. We'll get
Yeah,
back.
go to offenses. Find the one that you got that you assigned yourself.
The one that you were just investigating for the potential.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
double click it.
And then see what if you hit those three.
Click, yeah, those three dots on the right.
Mm.
Review. Yeah, it's case. Oh no, yeah, she has to add a comment first. That's what I had to do.
Well, no, I think no. I think she just hit
No,
review, but she didn't
oh
add a
yeah,
comment to review it, so she doesn't need to hit case.
no, hit case.
Please
Yeah,
add a
you have to
comment.
add a comment. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I had to write a comment first.
So then go ahead, add a comment and say escalating into a case for further analysis. Enter. Okay,
Yeah,
now
and
try.
then try making the case. Yep.
Got it.
What would
Okay.
so what information would I put in here?
Good night, Ashley. What you'll do
That's the
is
incident, the
right.
disposition.
Yeah, so the analysis summaries, your incident disposition, the case title is going to be the name of the alert, so that'll pretty much be the same. And then your evidence will be like screenshots of the, malicious activity, and then you'll just fill out the form, So, you'll see like categories would be, in this instance, it would be I would say probably what makes the most sense here is probably malware, I would say, probably malware. And then the other subcategory would be whatever options we have. So it would probably be virus in this case, and then severity would be whatever the severity is of the actual defender alert. The tactics are going to be you can grab that from the defender alert as well because it's listed in the actual process tree attack story whether what it's associated with. So you can see, you can see suspicious activity, modify registry, bypass user account control. Um, that's an option, I believe.
Yeah, you need more tactics on there.
Yeah, I got to go in here and
Um,
do that. Let me add that to my list. Sorry, I'll add that right now.
yeah,
So
and then I
I can do it.
forgot what it was. I don't remember if it's for alerts or for I think it's for I think it's in the advisories. Like when it says like source, it'll say like MasterCard, Visa.
What?
I'll take a screenshot and send it to you.
I think I know what you're talking about because
For
uh
this, would I put SOX authority?
Yeah.
And then what this was the thing that you guys
and
were talking
then
about
for the
before.
contributors, you're gonna unselect. Oh, let me put that on there because they
Yeah.
see
And
this is
there's
why
some
you have to
people's
work.
emails you got to get rid of.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
One second, and this is in contributors. Contributors. So you got to stay on top of things, man, because people be dropping the ball. But yeah, you're gonna uncheck everybody that wasn't a
Except
part of it.
yourself.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're probably paying for those emails too.
Not anymore. No, these are
Oh,
listed, and then the
So
uh,
since it's not here, the exact tactic, uh,
the exact tactic, then you'll choose go to. So I'm gonna add it for right now. You can just put what go back to the defender alert. There may be another one. Like for example, you can go back to the defender. Um, like click on the actual scroll all the way up to the name of the incident.
oh, you mean this way?
All right. Privilege escalation. See, multi-stage involving privilege escalation on one endpoint. So put privilege escalation if that's an option. There you go.
This?
Do you want me to just do the alert for you at this point?
Yeah, can you actually? That'd be
No.
nice.
But yeah, you get add screenshots. So like if there's different portions of the investigation that stood out to you, add it, take a screenshot, add that to your case.
Yeah. Typically, like for my last role, I would put like, anything found in virus total or
Yeah,
even
you
the
can do that.
command lines and stuff like that.
Exactly. All that. Now, these reports, being that they're incidents, they have company internal proprietary information. So if you're going to post this report online, you can, but just make sure when you generate the PDF, you redact information around the host, around the user, any internal IP addresses. You don't want to reveal any internal data that would expose the company. On the advisories and the threat hunts, all that is public information because we're pretty much sharing information about a vulnerability or a threat actor. But now we're sharing information about what's going on internally in the environment. You don't want to just post that randomly and not redact or sanitize because then you're exposing company information and that would be not good. Meaningless, then they're going to end up missing something that has, significant impact. How do PhD communicate with each other? Exactly. And that's so important, Richard, and everybody else here, because what if we're seeing 100 alerts pop in the queue every day, right? What if we're seeing 100 alerts pop in the queue for the same? Any last minute go backs, questions?
No, I don't have anything else.
No? Awesome. So Richard, get those interviews done and like I said, let me know when you're ready to turn on this feature. If you want to do the 300 jobs, what do we say, 300 or 500?
You said I don't even remember at this point now, honestly.
I said 500. I changed it to 300. If you get the 300,
Yeah,
the
by the
300
end of by the
May.
end of May.
That I think that's feasible. It's gonna be still a lot of work because this stuff ain't easy.
Hmm.
Even the 300, you know what I mean? It takes time, but I think it's still um I think it's still it would be a good thing. But again, and if you don't want to do it and you feel like it's time, like again, we have those resources. And that's for everybody. Anybody can start doing that right away, right? You guys can all start doing it, but I just don't want you to waste money, even if it's $150 or whatever. I don't want you to waste money if you're gonna get out because opportunities will present themselves. You will get in front of recruiters, you will get interviews, but if you're not ready, then it's just a waste. But it doesn't have to
Hmm.
take you 3 more months to get ready. It can take you the next 2 weeks of locking in, doing 3 interviews a day, 3 interviews a week. And if you want to do one every day because you got the time and you're willing to, then in 2 or 3 weeks you can be ready. And that's really it. Again, that's my goal for everybody. All right, so you're all set. I'm actually just checking something now within SockBite. So you guys don't have to hang around. I'm gonna hang around for just a couple more minutes. But thank you all for showing up, putting in the work. Again, let's work smarter, not harder. And you know, I think everyone's doing a great job. Richard, you're doing a phenomenal job. Just keep chugging along. And you're right, you're ready. You're ready now. I'll be honest, you're ready
Thanks.
now, honestly.
Thanks. Trust
So,
me, after applying to 100 jobs, I definitely I felt the fatigue. I felt the fatigue for real, from a physical and a mental standpoint. I was like, oh my God, like I felt like giving up.
nah,
Giving up at
nah.
a certain point. Like around like that 60 application mark. I was like, oh man, like I'm getting tired of this. Like, can it just be my time yet, please? Like,
hmm
can I just
And
get can I just
excuse me, that's typically an indication that you're getting close. Because
yeah.
typically when that thought of like quitting comes in, I can't tell you how many times that thought I can't tell you how many times that thought crossed my head. That shit crossed my head when I was in college. I didn't even like for real. So but that typically means that you're getting close. So I want to just, say to you, don't quit because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
going
no, I can't. I've invested too much time into this to quit at this point. I think it's just a regular thing that does happen. Like when you're trying
definitely.
to get to a goal, even what should be as simple as getting a job, it's more complicated these days. Um,
100%.
yeah,
100%.
you just start to feel it. I've seen like clips where it's like, oh, I like when you start to think about backtracking or quitting, that's like the point where like it's about to come, you know?
100%.
Yeah, and I saw this other clip of Kevin Hart talking. I feel like it applied to where I'm at right now, where it's like when you wake up every day and you're doing the same things over and over again, and you're not seeing a result, like that's a real grind.
And that's what it really, that's like the process, falling in love with the process, because like nothing worth like its weight in gold is gonna come easy or not make you want to quit at certain points. That's part of it. But now I
Yeah.
want you to focus on working smarter. It may not even be worth your time to go do 3 times the amount of applications over the next month because that's that's not where you want to spend your time. You know how much burnout you're going to experience. So, not that money grows on trees, or I'm not trying to be insensitive, but I mean, I think for again, $150, it's worth the amount of output you're going to get. Let's just
Hmm.
say, and I like to do math and simple numbers, but let's just say it took 3 months from now. I'm just worst case scenario. Like, let's just say it took 3 months and it's 150 for 1,000 applications. I told you to be guys be 150, $200 for maybe 500 to 1,000, but that's going to be what it is. And so let's just say it's 150 for 1,000 applications. Well, if you did 150 for 3 months, let's just say that's times three, that's $450. But let's say on the end result, you get a job and it's 130K salary. Was it worth it? I mean, the answer is of course.
Yeah.
And so obviously it took you 6 months, transition, getting the skills, but like at the end of the day, that's worth it because
Hmm.
you saved a bunch of time and energy. So, uh,
Yeah.
real quick, are there any other sources you guys want me to add? This is what it looked like: Visa, Mastercard. In
Yeah.
terms of the source, are there any other sources? I think we need to add the Hacker News, Beeping Computer. I think we use a lot of other ones called what's another one? Security or Security Weekly. That's another one. What other ones do we use a lot? Why can I think of these right now? Dark reading. These are like the intel sources essentially. Like, when you get like, did someone drop something? Good night, Ashley. Yeah, oh, she said that already. Okay. Ashley been gone. Cyber news and events. They're all in the drive already, but I just want to see. Hacker News Security Week, not weekly. CISA. Let me change that Security Week. But yeah, I'm just gonna add a couple more of these, so that we can, choose different ones. I'll just add other as well. So, but CISA is a good one.
Yeah.
Other.
Bella, are you still working at your job, or are you like and just like refining your skills, or are you like on the job hunt like the rest of us?
I'm on job hunt.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Fortinet. Yeah, that's crazy. Like I've been probably at like 8 companies by now. Um, and I'm actually looking to leave my job, and probably shouldn't be saying that, but I think it's important to once you start feeling stagnant, I think it's important to constantly be on the lookout for opportunities where you're growing your skill set. Um, me personally, that's how I feel. Um,
I need to pick up a parlay that's gonna get me $20,000.
I don't know anybody doing that. Let me know.
Send you a bet.
I mean, I know a lot of people that put in tickets on a daily basis now, whether they actually make money or not. That's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother conversation. I think that's everything for now. I think I put other. Yeah, so this is enough for now. I'm
Mm.
gonna delete the Visa Mastercard.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, but this
And
is
then you say you put other on there?
Yeah, like other,
Oh,
like
okay.
a different
Yeah.
source. So
Gotcha.
that should be good. And then we also you guys wanted me to fix the category and subcategories. So for
Yeah, you need to add
categories,
more tactics and techniques in there.
I think based on this,
I need to meditate.
yeah, that sounds like a good idea. That's okay.
I
So
need to unwind myself, realign myself.
yeah, bro, it's this not easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I'll add all these. So we have recon. No, we don't have recon. Let's add it. Recon. It's gonna be what about like this gets you can get burned out quick, man. It's not easy by any means. If it was easy, everybody would do it, but it is worth it. Hmm? Oh, oh, what? Where is it? Am I tripping? I don't see recon. Why did it say that? I don't know what's going on. So it's not letting me add that. Okay, what about resource development? Is that one? No. Okay, let me try to add that one. This is where I may need them to intervene.
All right, I'll see everybody tomorrow night. Everybody's gonna show up, but I gotta head on out. See y'all
Have a good
later.
night. Have a good night,
Later.
Marcus. Appreciate you coming up. Okay. But yeah, last thing I'll just say on that, to everybody who's still here listening, um, the only way you can fail is if you quit. If you see this thing through, you'll reap the results and you'll be, in good shape. Like I said, if it's easy, everybody would do it, but you gotta follow the framework and it's only getting better. So we're always gonna do our best to add more value and resources. And like I said, it's about working smarter and the job search is multidimensional. So you gotta get the skills, you gotta post, be adding and contributing, and then obviously you gotta proactively, strategically apply to jobs. So you hit it from all those angles and you stay consistent long enough, like you will get the results. It's simple as that, but it's so simple, it's complicated. I'll have to get back to the categories thing. I'm gonna actually put a ticket in the SockBite myself right now because that's an issue. And then you clarified the offenses versus cases thing. And yeah, I have one more other thing when it comes to the dashboard. So I'll be sharing that with you guys. But essentially what I want to be able to see here is when we go into the dashboards view, we should be able to see, like, for example, I want to be able to see just like analyst scorecard, which should be, where is the analyst scorecard? Yeah. So I should be able to see you guys working like the stuff that you're assigning. Um, and I'm not seeing that. All right. And then I also will have them, um, I'll have them change it so that when you create a case by default, it doesn't add everybody. But yeah, I'm not seeing Isabella alerts handled. Like I'm not seeing that. So it's not working. Okay, I'll fix that. But yeah, that's how it should be. We'll be able to see like these metrics. I don't think there's another one. Case tracker. So I should be able to see cases open. Yeah, it's not working. Okay. All right. All right, that's all I got, folks. Any other last minute questions, go backs from the team? Okay. Ghazi, you good? Matthew, you good? I've sent you guys a message in Slack. Were you able to see my message?
I'll take the turnover too, Will. I'll send it out.
Thank you. Yeah, you can remove those other ones. Well, you know to do that after you send it out so that it's clear. But all right, guys, if there's nothing else, I'll let you guys get back to it. Have a good night, everyone.
Not everybody.
All right.
Good night, y'all.
Good night. Hey, Rashane, good to see you, brother.
See you
You
too.
good? You good?
Yep.
How's everybody doing in